the I'm a Fan of podcast, music, comedy, and more.
Jonathan Hodges. What's up, man?
How are you?
Hey, thanks for making the trip out. I know you're only in for like a short minute, and y'all are going to do some social things that are fun and on schedules. But dude, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
The new song, it's awesome.
Thanks.
I love when you lean into like a heavier rock angle. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to do more of that.
I know you well because I remember you telling me you have a love of Muse, one of your favorite bands, right?
Yeah, it used to be. Yeah.
And so it's like I hear like I told my wife, I was like, I feel like he's mixing in a little bit of like Muse and like Arctic Monkeys and some other stuff I haven't heard, you know. But yeah, I love when you feel like you're getting a little angry and getting into a rock lane.
Yeah. My wife had been studying for the bar exam, and she had decided she was going to do that exclusively at home. And what that meant was complete silence for 8 hours a day. And finally, I was like, you have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
For everyone's well-being, especially your own. And I need to record the loudest thing I've ever written.
Yeah, because y'all, I'm assuming you're in like a Chicago apartment or something up there, right?
Yeah. So,
is there a loud when you're doing that? Because I know you're still doing most of your own recording, right?
yeah. I mean, most of it's just direct in though. So
okay.
I'm not really actually making that much noise.
Yeah.
But I'm pretending like I'm making a lot of noise.
So even just the clanking of the strings in your room is enough to bother her while she's studying?
Yeah, you can't do it.
Yeah. I imagine that's stressful, but good for, you told me she's done with that, so congratulations.
She is done with it.
That's a huge stressor for both of y'all to be done.
It was extremely stressful.
Yeah.
Not a great way to spend a summer.
Yeah, but
that's over.
I just remember y'all talking about moving up there, though. It's like, I can't believe that time's already passed.
I know. It
just feels like,
you
know, like I think I was talking to somebody and was like, yeah, they moved up there maybe like last year or something. It's like, wait. That's not right. It's been a little while.
It has been a little while.
But that's exciting, man.
I wanted to leave my sunglasses on because I'm pretty sure that's what famous people do.
Yeah.
In interviews. But I can't really commit. I can't commit to it.
If you need to go back to them, we can pause and I can go get my sunglasses to make you feel more comfortable.
Okay. I mean, at some point that could be fun to do. But I don't know. I just feel like I felt like people already knew I wasn't famous, like as they were watching.
Well, yeah,
like they saw it and they're like, "That's a guy." Now there's a guy that thinks that he wants people to believe that he's famous, but he's not.
But you know, there's that whole fake it till you make it.
I couldn't do it. I felt uncomfortable with it. So
if you feel like you want to go back, then we'll just do like a harsh cut where you're back on the sunglasses.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
Don't worry about it.
All right, so we'll plan for that.
Yeah. Hey, but this song in particular, because I can never keep up with, are you recording everything? Are you playing everything? Or, you know, but it looks like you have like kind of a more established band these days that you're playing with, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I feel like I had a pretty good like group of guys in Dallas. But I feel like I put together a group pretty quickly.
Y'all sound pretty tight.
Yeah.
It sounds like y'all are not just playing, you know, everything correctly, that you're like meshing and you feel like a band. Are you picking up on that too?
No, it definitely is.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
Dude, like the first thing I noticed was like your drummer.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
He's really, really
not
good.
flashy, just sitting there in that pocket making you feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very
awesome.
tasteful.
Yeah.
We sometimes go to other shows, and there have been shows that we've gone to where the drummer is not Jeremiah.
Yeah.
And one time, without my wife and I talking about it, Jeremiah got texts from both of us that just said, "I'm so thankful for you," because nothing makes you grateful for a great drummer like a bad drummer,
dude. Well, especially like as a guitarist too, it's like, why do the drums make me sound like a better guitar player?
Yeah.
You know, they really do.
Really nice.
I mean, just you can be a pretty, not saying that you are, but like me, you can be a pretty mediocre guitar player.
Yeah.
And when you get a good drum set behind you, all of a sudden you're just incredible. And all the little flaws that you
feels
have
so
melt
good.
away. Yeah.
It feels really good.
Yeah. And you can trick the audience. It's perfect. But yeah, man, that's so are you just releasing like some singles here and there as you feel right now? Because I know you just dropped that album recently too.
Yeah, so we've had, I mean,
I can see how that song wouldn't have fit on that album at all.
No.
Yeah, it would have been totally different.
It would have been weird.
Yeah.
I think it's been a year since I wrote that song now. So it took almost a year to like record it, mix it, master it, shoot the music video, put everything out. So it took a long time. And I think in general, I've just been like slowing down. I think because I'm happy.
Weird, right?
It's weird. And like,
you can't wake up and go, well, what am I really bothered by today?
Yeah. Which used to be just like, what really pisses me off? G chords.
Yeah.
They never sound right. Yeah, so I think it's just slower. But at the same time, it also gives me the chance to be a little more methodical with like, is this song worth pursuing? Is it not? Which I feel like I've always kind of been.
Slowing down's probably going to be good for you. How many albums have you put out now?
7.
7 albums in how many years?
Almost 7 years.
That's a lot of writing. That's a lot of playing, which is fun, but that's a lot of album work. So yeah, if you did slow down for like a year and a half, 2 years, that may not even be the worst thing. You have this huge catalog you can pull music from now at any time if you want to play a show.
It's true, yeah.
While you're just writing whatever comes next.
We have, so we are in like the mixing process for the next record.
Of course you are.
So life isn't that good, all right?
Yeah.
But it's, it's just slower. Like, I think it used to be like we would get stuff. Like, basically, as soon as something was out, I was mixing,
Yeah.
But I'm so glad you put your phone away. I was going to lose it.
It made a little vibrate.
If I felt any more vibration on this table.
I usually have it away, and then sometimes I forget.
This is extremely unprofessional.
But I hate feeling the table just even jolt a little bit because it feels like I'm pressuring you. Like, hey, I've got things going on. Wrap it up. Wrap it up, music boy.
Have you seen that? Have you seen Daniel Tosh's podcast?
Love
He's
it.
got the thing where he's like, "Yeah, this is my table. Get that shit off of my table. Can't have anything on here."
Yeah, he's still one of the greatest, man.
He's really good.
Yeah, and I love it's just like anyone he wants on the show.
Yeah.
But sorry, what were you saying? My vibrating phone took us off track.
No, I don't know. I mean, it's just a little bit slower. Like, it's not as like breakneck speed.
Yeah,
for sure. But it's also just like giving me the space to try out like new session players and more and more like the band that you see like in the music video, like they are doing everything. So like Jeremiah is like the only drummer now, and Dan Kristen is like the only bass player for the most part. What's funny is that on that in the music video for Thunderbird, Dan is playing bass, but my old Dallas bass player Jeff Tolis actually recorded that.
Oh,
part.
Nice!
Because Dan, he was like, I'd finished the song because I wrote it and recorded it in the space of a week.
Yeah,
and then I was like reaching out to Taylor, my guitar player, and Dan, and everybody. I was like, guys, we gotta do this. And the reason I put it all together so quickly was we were about to do the drums for Borrowed Time for the last record.
Oh, okay.
Which took forever. It was an awful experience. And so I was like, wait, if we're going to go in the studio, which I never go into studios. Like, I don't want to spend money on it. I can do everything myself. But the only thing you have to go into studios for is drums.
Right.
If you want them to sound good. And so we were going to do that. And we finally booked the time, blocked it off. We're all going in. And I was like, we might be able to fit one more song in here. And I think it'd be really cool if we got like a loud one in there. And so we got Thunderbird in and we were able to track it. And then Dan was going out of town to Ireland or something. And he was like, dude, it's not going to happen. And I was like, it's all right. It's all right. And then when he got back, he was like, all right, you ready to do bass on that song? And I was like, that's already been taken care of. You've been replaced.
Yeah, we found someone.
Yeah.
You weren't committed.
Yeah. You demonstrated your loyalty to
that's how there's hostile takeovers in bands.
know.
You guys are going to end up in court talking about royalties.
I know.
And yeah.
Who gets 1/200th of a cent this day?
What was the bad part about, you said it was a nightmare tracking drums on Borrowed Time?
Oh yeah, dude, it's just like schedules are insane. Jeremiah is in like 18 bands in Chicago. So he plays all over the place.
Well, that's why he's so good then, huh?
No, it is.
Yeah.
No, he's really good. And then finding a studio and an engineer that you really trust and really want to work with is hard, especially if you're not really spending very much time in recording studios. And if you're doing most of it yourself, generally what you do not want.
So give me an idea. I always find this conversation fascinating, because you'll read articles about, more famous bands saying, whether it's a producer or just an engineer, talking about like, I'm trying to find someone who understood my sound or whatever, right? And then there's no very objective way to talk about your sound that is easy to communicate to another person, right?
Yeah.
So it's just this weird standoff of kind of feeling each other out. And it's like, when I say warm and gritty, is your warm and gritty the same, you know? So for you, when you're saying like, I'm trying to find someone who knows what I want, or I know what I want and I'm hoping they can get that for me, like, how do you even communicate that? How is your kind of like, I'm feeling this out to see if it's a good fit? What are the green flags? What are the red flags? Not even saying they're a bad engineer, just saying like it wouldn't be good for this project.
I mean, for me, really, it's just kind of been a process of trial and error, where you book time with somebody or at a studio, and you're like, not the most professional use of my time, actually.
Okay.
Or seems like the equipment's a little outdated.
When you say not professional, like not showing up on time, moving at a slower pace or something?
We've had some experiences where people have like canceled repeatedly and stuff like that. And when you have like my schedule's insane, Jeremiah's schedule's insane, like even like getting us both on the phone to like figure something out is going to be hard in and of itself. So like in this process, it was delayed, I think, by 2 months from the first date that we had set to track.
Yeah,
which is a lot of time.
Yeah, and I imagine, tell me if I'm wrong, but in my experience, it's not like you have this moment and then the moment's gone.
Yeah,
but you are getting excited to record. Right, you're getting prepared to record. Yeah, and you can kind of lose some of that passion. You do. That excitement can be like, well, I mean, they pushed it off to 3 weeks from now. Right, and it's hard to kind of ramp and just. You can do it, but you're worried.
It's almost like now you're performing the excitement.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Now, if you wait 2 months, I find, and it's finally actually happening, the excitement's really good.
Because then you go through the phase of, well, it's probably never going to happen.
Exactly. Right? So then when it finally does, you're like, all right, look at this.
We got another chance. Hurry up. Yeah. That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
What is hard about it is like the way that Jeremiah and I work is that we get together like a day or two before the actual recording process, and we just write his parts together. So I send him a bunch of charts with like BPM changes, meter changes, all these things, like to the measure, and then we just sit down and we play through it, and I just record everything on my phone, and it's like, it's a really exciting process. Yeah. It's fun for a lot of reasons. One of them is like every time you go into that room, you're like, oh no, we have to like actually do this in 2 days. I hope we're capable of writing this, Yeah. And then we sit there and we do. And it's like really organic and nice, free range.
Who, have you had the moment where you write it all out and then he's like, Jonathan, I think you actually wrote this incorrectly. I need to, like that. Does that come up a lot? Okay. Yeah. No, I didn't know if y'all had a music nerd off where it's like, no, I wrote it correctly, and it goes back and forth.
We've had one or two, yeah. It's that scene in Love and Mercy, that biopic about Brian Wilson. Like, Brian, I think you made a mistake. Oh, really? What is it? Well, I'm in G major and he's in D major. And he's like, works in my head,
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Brian Wilson, that's. I think it's a beautiful thing that he's gone because Mike Love can't hurt him anymore.
Well, you son of a bitch. Man, I was seeing some clips of him I didn't realize he had dementia towards the end of his life. Yeah. And I was seeing some clips of him, like, I guess he was doing live shows, or maybe he was just at like a bar for people or something, but he's like playing piano, but someone's literally has to be next to him telling him to like stay on track, and hey, remember we're here doing this. I didn't know that part about him, but it was very interesting. But it was interesting how if you could get him playing, he'd lock back in.
Oh yeah.
And there's that recall for dementia patients with music and that kind of stuff. It was pretty interesting. But
no, it was really sad because he lost his wife, I think 2 years ago.
I didn't know that.
And I mean,
and that's usually the start of the decline for an older man if that stuff comes. Yeah.
So it's just been kind of a sad end, I guess.
I mean, that's the way it's all going to go, right? I'm still in denial that medical science is going to advance and we can all live to like 200 years old.
Do you want to?
I would love to.
Really?
I think the world's going to get weird, and I want to see where it goes.
Going to get weird?
Yeah. Oh, we think it's weird right now. We think it's strange right now. It's not even close, man.
It's not even close.
No, because we're still doing the normal stuff that we've like. the details, like the little garnish on top, is different.
Okay.
But the bulk of what we do is the same, right? Like we still live in homes, we still drive cars to our jobs.
Okay.
We still pay our bills. It's like the core of what it takes to live hasn't really changed.
Okay.
But the details around it have changed quite a bit.
Right. Okay.
Like social discussions around, different human rights, So we really went from, like our parents' generations was probably more like homophobia and stuff was there, but it wasn't in the spotlight, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was more racism then,
Yeah.
right? So they get through kind of the racist stuff. Then in like the 90s and 2000s, they talk more about like homophobia and accepting people. Now we're dealing with now we're getting into trans movements, right? But it's all kind of basic social struggle about being a person and a human that we go. It's not like it's weird. It's just constantly kind of pushing the goalpost, right? And there are like little weird pockets of all of that kind of, but overall it's the same, right? It's the same like, oh yeah, here's a different type of person who doesn't feel accepted and we're going to do our part to be a little more accepting. Okay, fine. But I mean, like autonomous cars, for instance.
Yeah.
If that happens sooner than we think, right, it's going to change the world in the sense of, I could go buy 10 cars and start a taxi business that I never have to have drivers for. Things like that you couldn't explain, right? It's like if you went to the 1800s and you had to describe what a web designer is, for your web page. Mm-hmm. How does that person even grasp those concepts, without knowing about the internet, the computer, all these types of things? Like, what would you even use it for? We just take the horse to the field and we get some work done.
I mean, you have newspapers,
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, but that's even a great point. It's like, even the internet, it's crazy, but it is essentially just a steroided out newspaper, right? So no,
have you seen the Whitest Kids You Know sketch where he's like, dude, our time machine finally works. Should we go back in time and like stop 9/11? He's like, no. And we're like, let's go back and like grab an Amish dude and take him to the future. He'd flip, man. So they go back, they grab a guy, they bring him to like Central, Times Square, and he's just like standing there. And they're like, oh, he's losing his mind, man. Let's take him even further into the future. Take him to like the year like 2500 or whatever, and the two guys start losing their minds. But the Amish guy is still just like,
I haven't seen that one. I'm gonna have to check that out. That show's great. It's like Key and Peele, where right when you think you've seen all the skits, there's a new one.
There's always another one.
But yeah, I mean, what's the weirdest thing you can think of that's likely to happen? What about just like hologram nursing homes, where I just plug my Neuralink brain into and I'm living in a nursing home that's fantastic, and I'm just, and I don't know. My kids just put me in there.
Every once in a while, if your kid hates you, they come and like fuck with the settings.
Sure.
So now all the nurses like beat you for no reason.
Yeah.
And stuff.
But even that wouldn't be crazy weird, because it's still the same construct of like when you're old, you need a caretaker and all that. Like, I think it's going to get more weird. Like if
put the Apple glass back on Dad.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Steve Jobs, I love you.
Like the funniest thing I saw recently was talking about how we should be giving boomers a break because of their racism that they don't understand.
Yeah.
Because they're like, millennials especially, it's like, hey, your kid, is going to be potentially like falling in love with some version of AI that now has a physical thing.
Yeah, and then we're going to be like bigoted
towards AI.
Yeah, like, I can't accept this.
Yeah, and it's like just reading the comments on this
if
stuff.
her voice is Scarlett Johansson. You can't.
Yeah. One of them was like, no 10 sucker's going to be a son of mine. And it's like stuff like that, where it's like the stuff that would sound crazy racist in the future, where it's like right now that sentence just got me canceled 30 years from now, right?
It's game over, yeah.
But really, it's like you're going to be like, well, we understand how you feel about the toaster, but in our
day, people would just take a bath with a toaster.
Yeah, in our day, it was just something we used when we needed things, and and then there's like the weird arguments of like, I'm not really against like AI robots and AI spouses and AI friends, but like essentially they don't contribute anything. They take all of our electricity.
Yeah.
If they ride the bus all year long, it's wearing down that seat. They weigh more.
The amount of water it takes to cool them off.
Yeah, I mean, like there's going to be a whole new level of prejudice, and we can't get that.
That's true.
It's like
I saw Taylor Tomlinson on her most recent tour, and she had a comment that was something like, Stop coming after your grandparents. I'm done. I don't want to hear it. They can't get it. They're not going to be here that much longer.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Well, have you seen just the fun stuff of like, oh shit, what is it? You know, they're making like 40-second clips of like Sasquatch, but he's doing like the Sasquatch vlogs where he's like, hey, chat, going through the mountains right now.
Yeah.
It looks fucking real.
Yeah.
Right? It looks almost as good as like Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Okay, this hasn't been happening that long. 5 to 10 more years, you and I are going to be tricked by every single thing that's put out on the internet.
And some of us are tricked by everything on the internet.
Dude, right now, when you look at it, the first thing you do is go, is this AI? Is this real? What's happening? You know, so the fact that it's only been, you know, it's been less than a decade, right? 5-6 years probably.
My wife and I were talking last night about how apparently if you use dashes like excessively in your writing, then that's a sign that AI wrote what you're writing.
Yep.
And I was like, wait, but I actually do use dashes a lot. She was like, I do too. But now everyone's going to be like, oh, AI wrote that. Mm-hmm. And so progressively, our writing is going to have to get worse.
It's going to have to, yeah.
So that everyone knows that we really did it.
So I'll do the same thing, right? It's like I don't have money to afford an editor.
Yeah.
So I'll run just for a spelling and grammar check. I'll run it through ChatGPT, see if it's like got a twist or something that I like, or, you know, and that's my version of an editor, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you're using original thought,
right,
to create it and then use it that way,
just like another tool.
I think it's a great tool, right? But it does. It's like it'll spit it out, and all of a sudden it's changed it so much, and you're having to like put like, hey, reel that back, like, and then the same way the dash, dash. And I'm like, and you like it, but you're like, oh, that is a nice way to write it, but it is a dead giveaway, and people are going to think I don't write this at all,
right.
When it really is my own thought process, at least.
When for years nobody's been writing their own stuff, they always hire a guy to do it. You know?
Yeah. It's you know, it's fun, but I mean, I'm shocked writing has even held on this long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I started writing articles, I assumed nobody was going to read them because it's who reads, you know?
I mean,
so vintage.
A lot of illiteracy going on. Saw a really good Kanye tweet. Not a lot of those going around, but this one was good. And it was, fuck reading and the people that do it.
What is, first of all, when are you going to transcend to his level of genius and fame where you can start acting like that?
I don't, it's not. No.
We got to get you there, man. Because if we could get a version, put those back on. Let's get our version of unhinged Bomethius, who now says something that we can clip up right now that you should defend later, but you're not going to. That's too much pressure. Sorry. No. I was seeing if you were ready.
All right, I'm gonna talk for a little bit about the article that Travis Wright wrote. He put it out. He said Bomethius has a new album out, and he said, "Now I don't know about you guys, but I have an Amex Black card, and everything in my life is perfect. I've never had a bad day. I can't even remember what sadness, sorrow, loss. I don't remember what any of those things are like." But you know, Jonathan Hodges, this Bomethius guy, that's a sappy, sad piece of shit bastard if ever I saw one. And this music is for homeless people. Yeah. So if you happen to know a homeless person, or if you are a sappy, sad piece of shit bastard, you should listen to this album.
Yeah, I stand by that. No.
Yeah.
You know how nervous I was putting that article out?
I know. I couldn't believe you told us that you'd been invited to get an Amex Black card.
No, I mean, I've applied, but they don't give it to me yet, you know. Yeah, they're but no, that album's a deep, dark album, is it not? You kind of crawl down in a hole on that one, don't you?
Yeah, I do, yeah. No, I do. I actually think that compared to Awful, Pompous, and Artificial, the record before it, it's a lot lighter.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And the reason that it's lighter is that it's my sister Caroline and I. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that record is Borrowed Time is like telling Caroline's story. And like, to me, there's just something a little bit lighter about facing like the darkness of our childhoods and our lives up till now together. Mm-hmm. Whereas Awful, Pompous, and Artificial is like totally isolated, completely alone, trying to make the best of it.
Yeah.
And not really knowing what's going to happen. You know, I mean, it ends with a song called Fare Thee Well, where it's like, all right, well, figure it out.
Well, I think the overall, like for me when I hear it, the part that makes it feel so down and out, but that's music, right? Everybody's got their own interpretation.
Yeah.
is just, it's like, I think now that I have a 5-year-old, just thinking about like, you hate that someone has to go through that period.
Oh,
so
yeah.
then you're just like, I can't listen. I got to turn it off again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's to me where even though it's more of a resilience, like we're overcoming, you're still thinking about like, why did they have to overcome something?
No,
as a parent, at least, it
like
hits differently.
The needlessness of evil and suffering.
I think if I heard it as a, like in my early 20s, where that part of my life was a little dicier, it's like, then it would really hit. Really hit. Now it's just more empathy of like, again, like I said in the article, it's like, I just don't think this one's for me. I think this is just for other people who need it, but yeah, I felt strange with that one because that was the first record of yours where I've listened to it and thought, everything sounds really great. And I don't know. It's not moving me. I don't know. It should be. This sounds nice, right? And like I said in the article, it's like that's kind of why I wrote it that way. I was like, it's nowhere near anything bad. It's just what's not hitting, And I've thought about so many records like that where
what's another record like that for you?
A lot of I'm trying to think what comes to mind first. I think definitely getting married and then becoming a father. A lot of music opens up to you now that never did. Because it was written by people in those situations and you didn't have a level of either emotional maturity or you had never had the type of responsibility. You're married now. It's like you have new responsibilities with your wife that, new things you never cared about before. Even as crazy as it sounds, going from when you're dating, even if you're living together and you're dating, there's this level of, in the back of your mind, it's like, but I could duck out.
Yeah.
Anytime. And you still can in marriage, but it's just a deeper commitment.
I'm thinking about it all the time.
Right, yeah. The exit door is there, but it's smaller. But no, you that commitment of like, we're going to go through this the rest of our life.
Yeah.
And so there's a new pressure back there.
Sure.
And
which I imagine is probably heightened when you finally like have a kid.
It is, yeah. And you don't realize it. I'm sure it's different versions of that for everyone, obviously. But Sturgill Simpson put out...
Yeah, I know this record.
Yeah, the Sailor's Guide to Earth. Yeah, that was one where I think I'd heard it previously, but I didn't give it a front to back listen. I'd hear little clips, and like one of the hits, even though they don't really play them a lot on radio or anything. But it was two things. One, I don't think I had his perspective yet of being like a father and having this obligation of like I can't fail for this person.
Yeah, and
then two. So much country music is just stereotypical, written in the lab bullshit. That now when you hear real country, you mix it in with that ultimate, like essentially, I hear his voice and he's got like a country drawl to it, and I'm like, oh,
bullshit,
playing the game, huh, Sturgill? Playing the game, and you hear a couple little twangy Telecaster licks, and you're like, yeah, of course, that's what y'all do now. Yeah. But what changed is my wife got me to go to one of his concerts at...
No, he's like a real guy. Like, he's a cool guy.
Well...
You read his interviews? Like
He's the real deal.
Great.
He's the real deal.
It's like Johnny Cash energy.
I mean, this was probably... I don't know how long ago that record came out, but it was shortly after that record came out. We went to that venue in Grand Prairie near the horse track. It holds like 6,000 people or something. Mm-hmm. And there was a couple moments at that one was... There was some sort of issue on stage with his monitors, with something was not working right. So the set's thrown off right out of the gate. First song.
Oh, no.
And I was expecting this guy to be like I'm coming out in my country get up that people think a country musician should look like, you know. Right. I'm going to have a hat and I'm going to hold an acoustic guitar and rarely really play it. Yeah. You know, we all know.
I love watching country music videos sometimes with the sound off, of course. Just to watch whoever the front guy is and how he holds his guitar, and it's like he's not really sure what he's holding or why. Yeah. Like someone just handed it to him before they.
It's the way you hold a broom thinking you're playing guitar when you're doing air guitar before you've ever played guitar.
And he's like trying to line up his fingers. He's not sure what frets are, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Every now and then he shakes his hand because he's like, owie.
Really hurts.
Yeah. So anyway, first of all, he comes out, he's not playing an acoustic. And I was like, oh. And then he had more of like a jam band setup. Like there was just, that stage is huge. And in the middle, it was just a drum set.
Yeah.
Like a bass player.
Yeah.
keys player.
Yeah.
And then he comes out with an electric guitar, and I was like,
so he didn't have another.
nope,
Okay.
one guitars. And I was like, oh, I didn't know he played all that shit on his record. I thought there's some studio lead guitarist doing this.
Yeah.
He's having this something's happened, something's wrong. He's trying to get through a song, and I can't remember if he finished the first song or not, but at one point he doesn't say it, but you just see this fuck it attitude. He takes that guitar, sets it down, picks up another one, goes and talks to somebody at the onstage monitor booth, whoever's running that.
Yeah.
It looks unpleasant the way they're chatting, like, we gotta this show just started and we're already fucking up, something like that, you know. And I guess his guitar was working fine. He comes out, he just hits like a distortion pedal, and he just rages a solo for like 2.5, 3 minutes or something while they're sorting out. And he's just, and all of a sudden it's like the opener is the closer.
Yeah.
It's the big finale that you would have. The jam band's just picking it up. They're just going, you can tell they're just riffing off each other.
Yeah.
And so there was that moment of like, oh, he's like a player.
Yeah, he plays.
He's like a dude who loves guitar. Nice. And then they end that, and he just real cool, just gets on the mic. He's like, sorry about that, y'all. We were just going through some stuff up here. And it's like, damn, that's cool, you know? And so now I'm pretty locked in.
Yeah.
And I don't really know the record that well, but there was this one song that wasn't like a hit. And I still, like, when that part comes up, the vocal part comes up now, it still hits me because I'm not even thinking about his song. Like, the way he does it is perfect and great, but he's got this slower song called Sarah. And there's at one point, kind of midway through the song, he's like singing real low and soft. And he's like, you know, forgive me if sometimes I seem a little crazy. And then he only gets a little bit louder. He's like, but God damn it, sometimes crazy's how I feel. Mm. And which, again, if this was a cliche country artist, you're like, cool.
And this is my Chevy.
Yeah, but it's not that. Like, the whole lead up to that lyric in the song was not that way. It just sounds like this honest guy. But I remember being surprised because I didn't know the lyrics at the time. Mm. And that lyric is not like a chorus that people sing together. The whole group of 6,000 people saying, God damn it, sometimes crazy's how I feel. And you're like, this dude's really hitting people at like a core, you know? And so it was just kind of these magical moments. And he brought up an acoustic at one point, room full of, 6,000 people or whatever. And it's just him on the stage, band takes a break, and you could hear a pin drop. And it's like, so, wow, this guy's a real performer too, where like they're cued in on him, and he's not up there flailing around for attention. He's standing still, playing a guitar, little spotlight on him or whatever, and they're locked in. And so it was those moments. It's like, okay, these aren't even, and these weren't like stereotypical douchebag fans who don't love the music. They're just there for like a party and drink some beer. These were like music fans.
Right.
And there was a wide swath of just demographics there, which is, to me, is always a good sign of like, oh, you're writing real songs when there's not like a core listener, Yeah. So it's like immediately the next day, it's like I just put the record on from the start and just went through it. And it opens up with like a weird piano ballad.
Yeah.
And then in that same song, we somehow transition into like a Motown beat with horns. But all the time he's got this country drawl happening. And that, listening to that whole record is when I realized like, yeah, like I 100% love this. And it's just, I just didn't, I think but if I'd listened to that record in my 20s, I would have thought it was stupid.
Really?
I think so.
Oh.
I think it was because I had a wife, because I was, my son, I don't know when it was released. My son was either on the way or he was here now.
Yeah.
Maybe I listened to it after we had a baby, and it's just like, now you're feeling it. Everything this whole letter to his son about living life and trying your best and all this, you're realizing like, God damn it, like being a father's going to be tough.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
And even still, it's like now you just realize that honesty is there in his music.
Right.
But if I'd heard that previously, wouldn't have cared. I would have thought like another country act.
I was introduced to Sturgill through that album.
Oh yeah.
By my friend and like kind of former bandmate Travis Carroll, who's getting married today. And that's why we're here. But I remember listening to it and being like, "This is really good. Like it's really, really good." And I don't think it's for me yet. Like that kind of feeling.
Yeah, I think if y'all decide to have kids and you re-listen to that, it'll probably hit you differently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I went back to his previous records, which are more traditional country.
Yeah.
But knowing he's kind of honest like that, those hit harder now.
Oh yeah.
Now all of a sudden I was like, yeah, this is what they're all faking.
Well,
they're trying to be like
this.
this.
I listened to that record, and then I was like, well, I'm just interested in this guy,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just went and read a bunch of his interviews, and they're hilarious. Like they're really, really funny.
Did you see when he won a Grammy for that album?
And he was saying like it's all fake and
Yeah,
nothing means
but also
anything.
the same year he won a Grammy for the album we were just talking about.
Yeah.
The Country Music Awards didn't nominate him for anything.
Yeah.
And he took his guitar and he took his Grammy award and he sat out in front of it and was busking. And he's just standing out in front busking, and he's got his Grammy on the ground next to him.
That's
and
really
he's just
funny.
singing songs. It's like guy won this Grammy, and it's like,
He's totally irrelevant.
Yeah, and you realize all those award shows, awards for music are dumb anyway, because what do you mean it's the best?
Right.
But
What are you saying?
but at least they used to have a little wider range, and it would make sense if somebody would. You're like, yeah, well, that was a phenomenal album.
That was really good. Yeah.
But yeah, I can't remember who won like best country album over him at the Country Music Awards, but you're just thinking like, well, he should have been a nominee, right?
Yeah.
And then he comes out later like with that full on rock album, Sound and Fury. Have you watched that?
I haven't listened to that.
Or listened to that? I mean, I say watch it because he also released a full anime video that follows the soundtrack.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And he's just this dude who's like, I'm going to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
This one's rock and roll.
I
This
just
one's
like
country.
that. Like I think I don't really listen to him that much.
Yeah.
And aside from that record, I don't think I've really revisited him at all. But
Yeah.
I just remember like reading all those interviews and being like, "That's a real guy," and then moving on.
I think that makes better musicians, right? It's like I don't think anyone is going to love every one of your albums.
No.
All 7 upcoming 8.
Well, I don't.
That's what I'm saying. But they're all just in such different veins at
Yeah.
times. And
But
like-
I have met people who are like, "Oh, I just love this song," and I'm like, "Why? Why?"
that one? You're weird. Yeah. Well, it's like one of the punk rock bands I love, NoFX. They've been around for like 40 years now, so they have all these albums. And it's like, I love this album. I think this one's trash.
Yeah.
And then someone else is like, "What? No, it's the other
How
way.
dare you
It's the other way.
Yeah.
That one that you like is just
Right.
watered down, whatever." So, But I think if you're doing that, you're probably writing some pretty interesting music. Where if people grab a record every now and then and they just don't grasp it, and it's like, well, good. They reached for something.
Yeah.
And that's how the good
Then you
music's
get it.
going to come. You
Yeah.
know. Have you found people yet with this latest record that just fully get it? Where y'all have a moment.
way more actually than anything previous. And I think a big part of it is that it isn't just telling my story, it's also telling my sister's story. And in some ways, I think her story is a lot more relatable, especially for other women.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been like pretty powerful, actually.
What's the mix of emotions like when you're happy that they love the music,
Yeah, there's
but
that
you're
sense of, like,
unhappy
I'm
that they
so
love the
sorry that you
music?
get it,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there is that like pretty heavy sense of that, where like Carolyn and I did finally perform together, which we'd never done before, and we did get to do a show, and then afterwards, having people come up who are obviously emotionally like moved by what just happened,
Yeah.
and because of the subject matter that was pretty explicitly discussed on stage, it's like, okay, I see you and I know, but this is also not the place to get into this. Like, especially if you're not really sure, like if that, if the other person isn't really sure, they just want you to know that they loved it,
Yeah. What an interesting line.
So
you
it's heavy.
want to connect,
Right.
but you're not ready to break down.
Yeah, because you don't really know each other.
We don't want to do
And
that.
That's a
Yeah.
lot of heavy stuff. And so
Yeah.
a lot of it is just kind of like, I think Carolyn and I like, locked eyes, and then we were just like holding space.
Mhm.
We're just going to be quiet with you and just let you emotionally kind of.
So you said you're kind of doing some storytelling between these songs when you're doing it live now?
Yeah. Yeah. There's always been, jokes and stories.
Yeah, I know you've always done that, but
Yeah.
just as the albums get heavier,
Oh yeah. No, still going into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we like actually played that song, Borrowed Time, like that, the song, which Carolyn and I sing in unison,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, just like going into like what, narcissistic disorders do to families and to children,
Mm-hmm.
and how growing up, Carolyn and I were in a familial setting where we weren't allowed to see each other. Like we couldn't see each other. You couldn't see the humanity in the other person. Is what I'm trying to say. You were just obstacles to each other, and you get played that way the whole time. So I've been pretty explicit about that. You know, I'm not for the most part with the music. Like I am trying to just kind of let it mean what it means to whoever. But especially with stuff like that, like this means something. Like we're not really good at pretend like it means. I remember like on Inadequate, there's a song called "The Machine," and "The Machine" is about neo-Calvinistic fundamentalist evangelical.
This is the one that your uncle had a big hand in writing, right?
Yeah, and so the machine itself is evangelical fundamentalism, and how it takes young men and like introduces them to this really fucked up worldview. But we had people that would like write articles about it and be like, "This song is about capitalism." Right. And you're like, "Oh, I mean, okay, yeah, I see what you're. Okay, sure." It's like that. I mean, yeah, there is kind of this, like a religious kind of Christian nationalist view where you could paint.
It's interesting how both of the you could see that because both of those institutions, use a lot of the same playbook.
Yeah, they do a lot of
so
same things.
we know,
right?
Yeah,
but like with this stuff with Borrowed Time, like no, it's pretty explicit. It's like
pretty self-explanatory. Yeah,
like you'd really have to miss a lot to be like, this is about your dog, right?
Well, like I said, the moments I kept trying to listen to it, it's like we live over here near White Rock Lake. Yeah. So it's like a couple times a week, I'll just take the long drive home, go around the lake, have the windows down.
That's nice.
Dog's got his head out the window.
Nice.
It's like, do you think I'm going to resonate with that song right now? It's like I've seen people jog around the lake on a sunny day. I look in the rearview mirror, my dog's tongue is hanging out, and he's having the time of his life. The other side is my kid in his car seat, and he's like, "Daddy, there's a duck."
Oh my God.
And I'm like, shh, I'm trying to connect.
Awful smug for a red.
You know what I mean? And so it was an interesting listen from that sense. And I was like,
no, that is really funny.
And it's like, okay, that, hey, it's nighttime now. The kid's gone to bed. I'm going to go to the gym, hop on the treadmill. And that's where I'll process a lot of albums because you can really zone out.
Yeah.
But again, it's also not an album where you're like, all right, let's get our heart rate up.
Yeah. No. Heart rate down. Like stopped. Yeah. Like over,
And so and then it's like, I guess it was months later. That's when it clicked. It's like, this one's not for you, or maybe it's not for you yet. Hopefully
it's never for you.
Hopefully, right? Yeah.
I'm going to say it right now. I hope it's never for any of you.
Yeah. But I mean, I think we've all had. I'm trying to think what is like a sad album.
Well,
I wouldn't say yours is sad, but I'm just trying to say
it is. It is.
I'm
sad.
trying to think.
But like Sufjan Stevens, Carrie and Lowell, 10th anniversary just came out.
Mm-hmm.
You ever listen to that record?
Do you remember? Did you ever meet my buddy Nathan? I can't remember if he was still working on the podcast with me then, but he was just giant fan of Sufjan Stevens.
Oh.
And it was another one like, respect all of it, nothing bad to say, it's all incredible. It's just, and if it were to come on, I'm not going to skip it.
Yeah.
But I've never really sought it out to listen to.
Okay. For the most part, I don't tend to resonate with a lot of Sufjan stuff. I find it a little bit bloated and a little self-indulgent, which there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. It's just like I can't do it. Carrie and Lowell is different. It's completely different from everything else he's ever released. And I think for me, it's like the best synthesis of what his work is about.
Yeah.
But it's just intensely sad. Like, it's really, really, really sad. And extremely like autobiographical from what I've understood.
Yeah.
So to me, like that's a pretty good, like it's a parallel. I'm not going to compare my work to one of the greatest albums of all time, but
sure.
In terms of like the feeling of listening to it, I think it's pretty similar. So yeah. I would be interested in like your reaction to listening to that record.
I'll check it out. Yeah. I'll listen to it. I mean, I always love doing that, but like I said, it's weird. It's like you'll hear an album and then you'll put it down, and a decade later you'll listen to it again, and you're like, I'm hearing this totally differently.
It's like books, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or movies. Any piece of media where it's like
you know what happens with movies now is now the person like now, okay, maybe not even movies. You know who Bam Margera is?
No.
Do you remember the guys like Jackass? Mm-hmm. Bam Margera was a guy who was in that similar vein and similar time period where he's just doing wild shit.
Okay.
And it was kind of like Jackass and Bam Margera. They're separate but similar.
The Beatles and the Beach Boys.
Yeah. And he had this, his dad, I think his name was Phil, and he was always like the punching bag for a lot of these jokes.
Okay.
So like one of them might just be like, it's the middle of the night, I'm going to run in the room and punch Phil in the face.
Good.
Stuff like that,
I like
right?
it. That's nice.
And when you're young, you're just like, Phil's always trying to rein him in.
Yeah.
And when you're young, you're siding with Bam.
Right.
You're like, he's just having fun. He's making money off of this. What's the problem?
What are we upset about?
Yeah. And this clip came out a couple days ago that I saw where it's Bam recording Phil. And it's this man who you see now. Like now I'm probably close to Phil's age. I don't know how old he was, but I'm probably his age now. And he's sitting there like he's this insecure older generation dad guy who doesn't have heart-to-hearts, and he's got like something like he's fumbling with like a phone charger, like wrapping it up 2 or 3 times or something unnecessarily. And he's like, it's just, some of these people, he's like, they get money and, they ruin their life and they're not happy. And he's like, and I just rather people not have money and like spend a bunch of time with my son. And he's trying to have this heart to heart.
Yeah.
And Bam's just like, I'm going to do whatever I want. That's what I always do. Like he's not connecting.
Right.
Not connecting. And so where it's like, and then for context, Bam did end up going through like alcoholism, depression, horrible, like the stuff this guy was concerned about ended up happening. Totally happened.
Right.
But now as a kid, if I would have watched that, I'd be like, dude, Bam's so funny, oh, ha, ha, ha. And now I'm like, that dad was just trying to warn him, he's trying to help him. And so it's like just what time does as you mature, where the situation's totally, totally different. Yeah. Music's the same way all the time for me. Right. I'm trying to think of any albums that have just shifted like that, or like a good sad album. Honestly, what moved me most recently that was just kind of, I didn't expect it to, was do you know that guy Oliver Anthony who wrote the Richmond, North of Richmond song? Mm-mm. So this guy, he's I think he gets a lot of hate from people, but he's also got a ton of popularity. But he recorded a song called Richmond, North of Richmond, talking about our politicians and our powerful leaders and not doing what they... And, on the surface, it sounds very stereotypical kind of country, but he's got a good voice, nothing fancy. And he originally just recorded it for YouTube.
Okay.
So I think he originally was just kind of like standing in a field or something, playing the song with some microphones, and it's got a nice little vibe to it. It just exploded and people loved it. A couple years ago, it really blew up.
Okay.
But I never really given it a listen. It's like you hear the clips and you're like, it's probably not going to be a song I love. And for some reason, I just decided to I need to give this a full listen. I've never actually given this guy a shot. And there's just a couple lines of like, it's one of those old country songs where you're standing up for like kind of that blue collar person, maybe somebody who's never been given those opportunities, I don't mean to be insulting, but oftentimes like someone who's a little less educated. So it's harder to pull yourself out.
Right.
I don't have someone to help me figure this out, and I'm not well equipped yet to figure it out, but I'm trying.
Right.
And it's like, there's just a couple lines in there where, talking about like, it sounds so political, but it's really more simple than that, where it's like, your dollar ain't shit and it's taxed to no end. Little lines like that. Yeah. And it's like, now that I've lived long enough to be affected by things like inflation, where those used to be really nebulous things, right? But now where you're like, man, I've been in a career for a while and I've gotten raises and it feels like I'm always making less. Yeah. And it's like, I don't understand. I keep doing the things I'm supposed to do, and I don't feel like I'm, just...
Or even you keep being told by management, like, you're doing a great job. We love you. Here's less money and fewer hours.
Yeah. and then the more the curtain gets pulled back on leadership in general. Yeah. I don't care if you're talking about this president, that president. The more the curtain gets pulled back on politicians, it's like now, like, for instance, social media has been around long enough that we can see almost every politician flip their stance multiple times and lie to us and bullshit us, right?
Of course, right.
So some of that, what he's talking about is kind of that in that sense of like, just, we've got all the same old argument of like, we've got all the resources to make this the best experience for everyone,
but we're not gonna
within reason. It's like, there's always going to be a few people that just don't want to go along with this and they live their own version, and that's fine. But the idea of like people who are trying that fall through the cracks. That's kind of the depressing part of that song, right?
Yeah.
And that these rich men north of Richmond just don't give a shit, you know, and they lie to you and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I didn't think that dumb little YouTube song was going to hit me so hard today, you know? And it was one of those. But again, I think now it's like I've been in the career I'm in currently. It's like I've been doing that for 15 years. So I've been in it long enough to see like I had the hope of what it could become.
Right.
It's been good to me.
Right.
But you also see where it could be so much better.
Right.
And that not only, because, you know, it's like I work in a field where the community uses that field. So it's like the better this field is, the better the community is. Like everyone in the Dallas area would benefit from that, right? And then you realize like the version of Richmond, north of Richmond is, you know, if you work for a company that has administration where maybe they're not bad or evil people, they just don't value going like, hey, if we made a little less, these people and these customers would all win a little more.
Right.
And like we would all be all right and we would still be pretty rich.
Right.
And it's like it becomes more depressing the older you get that like, why don't people just do that? You know, like if I had 10 million, couldn't I be happy with 5? And I'm still super rich, but that 5 million, we could put it towards something that would be incredible, you know? And then next year I'm going to make another 10 anyway.
Yeah.
So every year I could be putting 5 million into something. And so just when that curtain starts being pulled back a little more and it's like all of a sudden this guy, you know, I don't remember exactly where he's from, up northeast somewhere, like Appalachian kind of guy. And you're just like, God, man, like we're two different people, two different worlds, but I feel you, you know? And, but I think that's what's great about music is just that guy's moving me while at the same time, the Sufjan Stevens songs you recommend might also move me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like everyone's walk of life has this relevancy. And if you write that song, I guess honestly is probably your first goal.
Right.
And then try to craft it around that honesty. You know, you can have some magic that people, it's like, I'm never truly going to relate to this guy up in Appalachia who's talking about miners. It's like, that's not I live in Dallas in a...
Well, I had found this band, I think it's Slim Dan.
Slim Dan,
is the
okay.
name of the band. And I saw him like on a reel on Instagram or something. And I think he has like a pretty big like TikTok or Instagram following. But it was like really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like maybe a 90-second song. Like the whole song. He didn't cut anything. It was just like, wow, that's a really good song. And so I like went and looked him up, and he had this new record. I think it's called Second Dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And listened to it. And there are like things about it where it takes me out of it because we're such different people.
Right.
You know, where the way he says some of his words is like very like, what's going on, man? Like you can just tell like this is skater kid from California or something.
Yeah.
But and like a lot of his songs are about being Jewish, growing up as a kid. And it seemed like in California, but I wasn't really sure. But just like an American Jewish kid and like what all that means. Like he's a whole song about the first time he ate a hot dog and like how he thought God was going to smite him, but God was just like disappointed. You know?
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. And there's just so much like humor and so much truth.
Mm-hmm.
And like kind of the point that you were making where it's like,
yeah,
you can tell your story, and as long as it's truthful, I think people will connect with it.
Yeah, and I want to hear that story about, you mean you're afraid to eat the hot dog?
Right.
Really?
Like, what a great song idea.
I mean,
like, that's so
yeah,
funny.
like I don't want to hear another song about a Texas dirt road, you know? Like talk to me about that hot dog struggle. Like, you know, I'm down.
Exactly.
I'm going along for the ride as long as
Exactly.
it's not, you know, just so dumb. I mean, but even if it's so dumb, then I'm kind of interested still.
Have you ever
too.
heard of this YouTuber, Pat Finnerty?
I don't think so.
All right,
I'm bad with names, though.
All right, so Pat's got a YouTube channel where, unlike what's his name, Beato, unlike Rick Beato, you know, he's got that series like, what makes this song great? He's like, well, he's going to go to the 5 of the 2 chord, and then also I have 500 amplifiers behind me because I've, you know, that kind of thing. And Pat is like, what makes this song stink? That's his series, you know? And he'll just be sitting there like, yeah, Weezer's like a pretty okay band, but Beverly Hills stinks.
Is his stuff a little more lo-fi and he has like a Squier Stratocaster or something?
Yeah.
Is he a little bit of a bigger gentleman?
He's not.
No. Okay, I'm thinking of someone else.
He's a little skinny guy.
Never mind.
He's got this like these branded hats that say bald as shit.
Oh.
He's bald, you know.
Well, I like him already.
That
kind of humor is awesome.
Guy. Like he's a really funny guy, and he's created probably the most intense committed like YouTube lore you've ever seen with like 10 videos.
That's awesome.
And
okay, I'm definitely checking that out.
He's interviewed like Dave Grohl before and like all this crazy stuff. And he even like started a fake pop rock band called August is Falling. And he was like, dude, everybody's on this bandwagon. We're all just trying to like start fake bands that like just sing about how great 2008 was. I was alive in 2008. Not a great year. But we're all like trying to make money off of it. So I'm going to get on the bandwagon too.
Yeah.
I'm starting this band. It's not real. Everything is fake. But I'm doing the band until I have enough money to get my own hot tub.
Again,
and he got the hot tub money.
You know what? You know what's the best thing?
Yeah.
Honesty. This is for a hot tub. And I'm like,
and
let's
the
get this.
internet said, let's make this happen.
Because my first thought is like, that's a reasonable dream. Let me click on this. That's a reasonable. He's not asking
for a private jet. You know, you just
fucking hot tub.
What's a hot tub? And
he's probably going to get a used one. He's probably going to Facebook Marketplace.
He finally got one, and it's like in his like shitty little 1-car garage. There's no room.
Yeah,
and it looks like it's uncomfortable to get into it and to get out of it. But he's like, I'm in hot tub.
Listen, goal set, goal achieved. That's the American dream right there, right?
Yeah, he did it.
I mean, listen, that's the kind of like go-getter attitude I can get behind, where they're like, no. I appreciate that you're trying to do this and this for me. We really are focusing on the hot tub.
Well,
hot tub right now, and then we'll go to the next step.
He had this whole video about the band Train.
Yes.
And that horrible song, Hey Soul Sister.
Yeah.
Which is, there's a bad song.
You know, that's one of those, I tried it again a decade later. I literally
it got
did
worse somehow.
Because I remember there was a girl in high school who dated briefly for like a week or two, and it's that young, innocent high school dating where nothing's real serious.
Yeah.
And I was probably like a freshman, and she had more of like an alternative look. You know, she had like, back then it was like Hot Topic, right?
Okay.
So more of that kind of dressy and like kind of spiky hair, which in your small Texas town in 2000 was like, whoa,
really a trendsetter.
Yeah, oh my God, and. When I remember I rode home from school with her one day because she had her license. So I must have been 15 and she was 16.
Okay.
And she had her license. And I was expecting like to hear some cool music. Like, I don't know, maybe we'll listen to like Slipknot or something.
But it was a ukulele?
It was Train. It was that song from Train.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
damn.
Oh. And that was like a turning point in liking her.
Yeah.
I was like, this is not
what?
who
This is why you and I get along.
This is not who I thought it
because
was.
Train made you think that maybe goth girls aren't all that.
I mean, it was a moment where it was just one of the first times in my life where I was like, that wasn't at all what I expected. It was going to be like, and she was into it, dude. She's singing it. She's jamming.
No.
She loved it, you know? And I think she was looking at me like, you don't like it? And I'm like, I don't know what this is. Like, you know,
it's really bad.
But tried it again a decade later, still sucked. Wasn't for me.
No, it's a bad song.
I bet I would enjoy drinking a beer with that guy, but
I don't even know if you could. I don't know.
I think a lot of people that write bad music end up being pretty cool people. It's just somehow they got in that bad music lane. I don't know.
I mean, there's obviously a lot of money to be made writing bad music.
I mean, if you're not delusional,
about what you're making.
Like Nickelback knows who they are.
That's true.
And I don't really love Nickelback.
But I kind of respect that they just like knew what it was.
I'm liking them more every year. I find out that they know exactly who they are. Now it's like, why are we so hard on them? Why were we so hard on them? And
the only people I'm hard on are people that are diehard Nickelback fans and really genuinely, sincerely like it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, I don't get the humor.
Yeah, they don't get it. If they don't get it and the band gets it, no.
Yeah, and
that's like people that unironically like Pat Finnerty's fake band August is Falling.
You know who I love is having their comeback because I loved them in high school.
Okay, let's hear it.
Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit.
I am all about it. I really want to go to a concert because I feel like they have not only not really changed, but they're like, yeah, we're old now, but we're still going to do this. And there's no delusional thinking.
Yeah.
But then when you see these cell phone videos and stuff in the crowd of what they're doing, and you're just like, damn, like they didn't skip a beat. It's still like they're older. He's got a gray beard, but like they're still performing that the exact way they would have back, when Limp Bizkit and Korn were huge.
Right.
And I loved it then, and I thought like, oh man, this is going to be a train wreck. These dudes are going to have like stiff hips or something and can't even get across the stage. And it's not like.
It's good.
Are you familiar with their guitarist at all, Wes Borland?
Not really, no.
I don't know that you'll ever like any of his riffs or anything, but I think you will appreciate and respect his style.
Okay.
Because back in the late 90s when that was coming up, he was one of the first kind of like weird artist people in that nu metal thing.
Yeah.
So he was big on like personas and costumes.
Okay.
So he has, let me see if I can find a good picture, but I want to try to find an old one. But it was like, he was using like face paint and contacts that change your eye colors. And this was like new this was like new technology back then.
Right.
And, you know, you didn't have social media, so you didn't see a lot of this. So like when you went to a show, it would blow your mind. Sporlin, old costume. We'll just call it a costume. I'm sure there's a less offensive word for people in the like the theater realm or something. So again, strange nu metal stuff. So here's like an old one. So he would commit to these personas.
Wow.
So he'd play a whole concert like that.
That's
it's just something, right? It's I don't know if people love it or hate it, but it was very interesting at the time. And he was doing it all himself. He'd like go find, you know, fabric or whatever and make things, and he was doing his own face paint. So it's just kind of an interesting level of something that hadn't really happened a lot in music yet.
right.
And then his style of guitar playing, I would say none of it is ever difficult, but you just never would have really thought about doing that. Like, there's like one of their big songs, Break Stuff, which is just, we're going to play just a little clip because it's literally just this like one riff, I think, the entire song.
Okay.
And let me find it. We'll see if this gets us demonetized and pulled off YouTube.
It will, yeah, it's the end.
It's just that riff. Over and over
So, you
and
know,
over
what this reminds me of.
But the thing is you got to put yourself in my mindset, right? You're in a small Texas town, okay?
Yeah.
It's, you know, what year was that released?
The 80s?
Yeah, right.
Like early 90s?
99.
Wait, really? Okay,
99.
Okay.
1999, right? So pre 9/11.
Yeah.
Okay? And you're just a bored, angsty teenager in Copeville, Texas, where 5 towns make up the school that you're going to, and you still only, I'm going to graduate with the largest class of 84 people.
Wow.
Okay? And I know you were homeschooled, so I don't know how much that really resonates, but like...
No, that's small.
It's small for, you know, and so it's like everyone you see is of a certain demographic, you know, it's like it's a kind of a country town, and then the people who aren't country, that's more of like lake trash meth addict, which that's the area of the town we lived in.
Good.
And, you know, everything feels like an old style of thinking.
Yeah.
And you still have this thought of like the shiny big city or the other states, you know,
Right.
California, New York, you know. And then all of a sudden, you find this stuff that just pisses off those people.
Yeah.
It just makes them angry.
And it's...
Yeah. You know, I've got a F-150 that was handed down from my brother, from my dad, who bought it used. You know what I mean? And it's got we saved up money to put a CD player deck in there.
Yes.
And like, you could still go to like Car Toys and buy some speakers on sale, and you could install them yourself because door panels weren't complicated on cars like they are now, right?
Yeah.
And it all sounded terrible, but you could turn it up louder than your previous stereo. And that was important because I needed to be at Willard's gas station in Copeville, Texas, pissing off the country hit guy with his horse trailer.
Yeah.
You know, and like after I got my new clever shirt from Hot Topic that said...
Were you also painting your face?
Didn't get to the face paint stuff. We didn't do that.
Did you ever blast Hey Soul Sister by train at the gas station? Because that would have really gotten to
I'm trying to think if on that drive with her, if we went to the gas station that day, but I don't know. But point being, like, that music was so offensive to those people, it became like, it was part of your culture in the 90s of like, I don't care what you think, man. And like, you know, which I think is why I relate to a lot of the terrible music that like Gen Z and beyond puts out. It's like, yeah, I had a lot of terrible music that was meant to piss people my age off. That's what they're doing. Let them do it. Let them have fun, you know?
It's really funny.
Because you're also too immature to be like, you know, it's like, so what are your problems again? So like, you got all your free time. You don't really have to work a lot.
The IRS doesn't even know about it.
Yeah, you got friends. You know, the other day you went swimming at your friend's pool.
They
don't let me express myself. You know,
I was listening to my you know Pete Holmes?
Yeah.
One of my favorite Pete Holmes bits is off of Impregnated with Wonder. and he's talking about it. He's like, yeah, I was listening to like this old person talk to like a 10-year-old kid the other day, and he was like, I ought to be 10. I bet you're fast and swift. You're swift, you know. And he's like, being a kid sucks. We all just forgot. This is the sound of a 10-year-old boy. Dad, hey, Dad. Dad, I lost my hat, Dad. His dad is like full car length ahead of his kid. He doesn't give a shit. He didn't even turn the full way around. He's just like, Bradley, your hat is gone, Bradley. Leave it. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that was my childhood of just like,
Dad.
nothing was really wrong, you know? Nothing was really wrong. You just lost your hat for a minute.
You have no power.
Yeah, and then like you don't even know what, you know, part of it too, I think is just like you're a teenager. You've just got raging testosterone.
Yeah. No,
and it's like,
a bad time.
So that song that I just showed you, it's called Break Stuff.
Right.
And all it's about is like,
having a great
we're going to
time.
fuck shit up today.
Yeah.
And like, don't come around me because I might fuck you up. even though I had never in my life fucked anyone up. But it's like, but maybe
It could
don't
happen.
you even,
It could happen.
don't you try it because I'm all jacked up on Limp Bizkit right now. You know, and like Red Bull might have been new technology then. I can't remember. So I might have had like the first Red Bull ever. And it's just like, I'm all ready to do something. And really what you're doing in this small town is like you're driving by and throwing a brick through like an abandoned house or something.
Oh, you got him.
But you're just like, yeah, man, we're like, you know, it wasn't even coming from a place of like, the system's oppressing us, down with the man. It was just like, we're fucking wild. You know, because again, those same people like Jackass and Bay Margera, this world's blowing up while Break Stuff from Limp Bizkit is coming out, and
it's just a bunch of energy with like no direction.
Yeah, and it's like you know, you've got a relative who's like, why does that guitar player look like a damn alien? What's wrong with just getting up there and playing your fucking instrument?
Yeah,
and it's like, you don't get it. Yeah. Like,
I don't really get it.
It's
either,
artistic, I think.
That's another Wise Kid sketch, which is like the punk rock sketch. It's one of my favorite ones, where they're like in line at this crazy like hole in the wall place, and they're in line, and it's like, who's on stage tonight? And it's like, I don't know. It's like really crazy, like bleeds and cuts himself and shits on the floor or something. It's like, oh, is it cool? Would your mom like it? No, then it's cool.
Then it's fucking cool. That's 100% what a lot of that new metal phase was for me. But I still enjoy listening to some of it because some of it has actual real musicianship. Some of it's just entertaining.
Yeah.
Some of it was perfect for the time. Yeah. Like I thought Korn had its place for that time. I thought what they were doing was so different and so unique and so interesting, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Even when I try to listen to it now, it's like I go back a little bit to that time period, but I can't really jam out to it now. It's like I just don't relate anymore. Now I'm just too old and don't get it, and that's fine. Real quick, I want to show you. Here's a modern. So this is him currently on tour, and he's still doing like his costume stuff.
Wow, I actually think this is better.
It is better because he's just kept progressing as like an artist.
Gotten more expressive.
So they get up there and they
more colors.
I don't know if you see this. Remind me how old you are again.
28.
28. Did you get to go to many concerts as like a teenager?
No.
Oh yeah.
First concert I ever went to was Muse.
Okay. And what year do you think that was?
2018.
Okay.
2019.
I think you'll relate then because I'm assuming I've never watched them live in person.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming as what's the lead guy's name, the guitarist and the singer?
Matthew Bellamy.
You know, he's always got these unique guitar setups and stuff where he's running like MIDI controls and things, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of their show has to be very structured.
It is, yeah.
Right? So I think what you're seeing in a concert like that is a lot of showmanship.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to open this way. We're going to move into this. And
a big part of that group is like...
Okay.
The show is its own experience, yeah.
That new metal phase
had
a lot of that going on.
Right.
Where it's like... There's this choreography in the sense of like, I'm going to talk about this, and as soon as I hit this word, that riff's got to come on. Yeah, and it's like, and I'm still going to keep talking, and we're going to build to that point where it kicks in.
Right.
And then the crowd, again, pre like cell phones were Nokias.
Yeah.
There's no video recordings. So it's in your pocket if you even own one. and you just see these waves of people exploding in the crowd,
Right.
and they're just all in on. They started a riot at Woodstock.
Yeah.
They were trying to sue them for it.
Right.
And anyway, that era of nu metal, I feel like had that great balance of like, it's a show.
Right.
Put on a show, please. Don't just play the music.
Right.
And then, it's like, I feel like as music keeps progressing, a lot of the showmanship dies down for different reasons. One reason is it's harder to make money as a band now. So it's harder to fund a big show.
Right.
But seeing them, it's like now these clips that are coming out, where they did a show last year or whatever, they're still using that old playbook. And you're just like, God, I forgot how much I missed a rock band having some showmanship. And like we're in a moment where we're going to talk about there's a fucking spaceship on stage. I don't know why.
Yeah, but it's there.
It looked paper mache, but it was cool.
Right.
It was cool.
Yeah.
And some artists, they still do that. But even like an artist like Prince,
right?
It's a show.
Yeah.
You're going to leave there having seen something you didn't realize you were going to see that day.
Right.
And
Whereas,
so
like what I do, it's like, no, I played the song.
Your show's a different way though, because you're combining that storytelling aspect.
That's true.
But I think if you ever had the urge, I just don't think you've had the urge to think of a show that way yet. But I think if you ever had that inkling, you would do it, But I don't think your music necessarily would lend to that type of just...
I don't think so.
Because like, again, I'm talking about a Limp Bizkit show. It's like there's a certain amount of willful ignorance to enjoy that performance where you're just like, we're shutting off.
Which is like, that's fun.
Yeah.
It's just a different thing. I was going to say that like the minimalistic... like we're just going to use a single theme or riff or like 2 chords and we're going to make an entire song with it. Reminds me of 2 things. One, the Strokes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how the Strokes can take an idea and really just like, it's not like they're minimizing it, but it's like they've cut it down into all of its individual pieces, and over the course of the song, which it could be like a longer song, you're just getting that in like different iterations, and I think that's like can be really, really cool. But then the other thing that recently had like a pretty big. Do you know Dan Reeder?
I don't think so.
He's like an older guy, and like a big thing for him is like all the instruments that he plays, he builds himself.
Oh, that's cool.
And his songwriting is amazing. Like it's very simple. He's got a song. I don't remember what the name of the song is, but it's born a worm, spins a cocoon, goes to sleep, wakes up a butterfly. Now what the fuck is that about? There's that one. He's got one called the Campfire Song. That's
he got me. I thought he was going a deep direction here.
He's got one called the Campfire Song. It's like, the government can execute you. They can put you up against the wall and shoot you. They can gas you and electrocute you. They can strap you down and lethally inject you. 3, 4, the government.
Everybody now.
Yeah, it's a Campfire Song,
Yeah, that's...
So, but in an interview, he said, it's like, you write short songs. What's that about? And he was like, well, I think most songs are short when you cut all the bullshit out.
Yep.
And so I've been thinking, it's like Thunderbird, it's a shorter song for me. And in this next record, a lot of short songs. Because I really was like, you have a point. Cut out the bullshit. Maybe you don't need to make it super complicated.
Do you remember how a lot of old songs, it would be like the third verse, same as the first?
Right.
That's kind of what's going on. It's like, really, this song could have ended. We just needed to go on a little longer. We just wanted to hit this 3-minute mark or whatever. Whatever was good for the medium at the time, that radio station or whatever.
Yeah, or vinyl or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point too. Like, you're limited by the medium. Like, we can only put this many songs on this. Right. It only cuts that much. Yeah, punk rock's really good about that. The punk rock will
get to the point.
Well, they'll have like songs that are literally like 50 seconds.
Yeah.
And you felt like it was a complete song.
Yeah.
Again, the main guy from NoFX, his name is Fat Mike.
Good.
He started a record label, Fat Records. And
seeing a trend.
Exactly. And he's always like kind of smart ass, like records is spelled like wreck, like you wrecked your card, and chords like chords.
Yeah.
And anyway, they would always, again, this is just, there's lots of golden eras of music. One of the golden eras for me was that early 2000s punk rock movement. You're kind of pre and post 9/11. There was a lot of stuff going on, and then you were still selling CDs. You could still tour. There were a lot of tours where tickets were like $20 and
Right.
you could see 40 bands,
Yeah.
and music was just thriving, right? And they weren't shit bands; they were
Right.
popular bands.
Yeah.
Anyway, when he started his record label, they'd put out a lot of compilations. And those compilations, you would go to a CD store and buy a compilation just to check out bands. That was like our Spotify,
That's
you know.
funny, yeah.
One of them he did was called Short Music for Short People.
Randy Newman opens the
Well, it was every
short people. Yeah.
it was every
No problem.
every punk rock band he could find at the time that was reasonably good, like on some label or something.
Okay.
And they all did, I believe, 10-second songs.
10 seconds.
10 seconds. And I'm pretty sure CDs maxed out at like 101 tracks.
What was the funniest song?
Oh,
Like,
man.
was there one where you were like, "Now that was"?
I
a
don't
good
know if
10
I can even
seconds."
find it digitally now. Like
No, you
I'm
probably can't.
I might have to go find a copy, but it was interesting because they only told them 10 seconds. There was no theme. There was no theme, you know, and so you would
Well,
see
any of them were just like, I'm kind of like, yeah, fuck this, and that's like the whole thing.
There was a couple that were like dumb. There were several that were like, oh, you understood the assignment. This is meant to be kind of silly and fun.
Yeah.
And then there were some who were like trying to make a serious, you know, maybe it was
Like they're playing harpsichord or something.
maybe it was 30 seconds. Maybe
10 seconds is not a lot of seconds.
you know, in punk rock music, let me see. Short music for short people.
The end.
I mean, I just remember there being a lot of great stuff on there. Maybe it was 30 seconds. Sorry, yes. Averaging approximately 30 seconds. So there were some shorter,
Okay, all right.
some shorter, some maybe a couple seconds longer.
Well, 30 seconds actually would do really well in this market because
Yeah.
that is
Ahead
I
of the
think
fucking curve, huh?
That's like the minimum necessary for it to count as a stream,
Mm-hmm.
and also that's like about the average attention span.
Jesus, I didn't even think about that. They were doing TikTok before it was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That you might only be able to find that as a CD somewhere.
Oh, good luck playing it once you get it.
Man, I was trying to see if I recognize any of these. This is great podcast material, just scrolling through a phone.
I was going to say, I think
Anyway.
we've really reached. I mean, you were talking earlier about like we haven't seen crazy yet. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening and or watching a podcast where we look at our phones.
We look at our phones. But you know what? Somewhere someone's going to enjoy the calmness of me just scrolling quietly.
and your voice makes
Yeah.
it work. You know?
Oh, look at that. There's that one song that we enjoyed. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But no, those compilations were incredible for like, you'd find 30 new bands that you loved,
Yeah.
and then you go back to the CD store and you'd like buy 5 of them.
I'm just imagining
fuck,
that
yeah.
there'd be like a, you get in there and you're like, yeah, do you have anything by this band? I really like them. And they give you something and you like put it on. You're like, I don't know. I really liked their 30-second stuff.
Yeah.
But their longer stuff, it just gets lost.
The 2-minute stuff just seems like they're droning. Yeah. I mean,
Shut up already.
we get it.
Yeah.
Down with the government. God.
Did you see that new A24 movie, Friendship?
I haven't watched that one yet. It looks pretty good though. Yeah.
Dude.
Was it good? Because their movies are hit or
No,
miss.
it was really, really, really funny. It was extremely uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like probably the most uncomfortable movie.
Because
I've
it's the
ever
one
sat
with
through.
Tim Robinson, right?
Yeah, Paul
yeah.
Rudd.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just about how like middle-aged white men don't have friends.
Yeah, because like the premise is he found a friend group, but then they kind of rejected him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he doesn't know how to be friends. Like he doesn't know what to do. Because it's been so long.
Again, dude, I'm probably gonna love this movie because
I know.
here's where I am.
I saw it and I was like, Travis would love
Travis
this.
is definitely that
You
guy
gotta
who
get him in
struggles
on
with
this.
friendship.
Yeah. I mean, this is part of it.
I mean, it seems like you would love his comedy in general, right?
I did not particularly like his sketch show that much.
Too yelly.
Yeah, there's too
Yeah.
much yelling for me. Which like a lot of sketch shows, like that's what it is. But like there's just something about it. I think it's like, in terms of the age group you are, like your maturity level when you find or are introduced to something.
Yeah.
My age and maturity level when I was introduced to Whitest Kids perfect.
Right.
So I can still engage with it because it's still in there. It got in there
Yeah.
right under the mark or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about Tim Robinson stuff where I'm like, yeah, if I was like 15, I'd love this.
I think what it is now I've hit this level of life where you have so much responsibility and stuff that becomes the dumb humor release where it's just
So do you really like it?
I love it.
Really?
Love it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, my wife can't stand it.
So
you know?
for me, it's not about the discomfort because one of the other things I was going to say was, have you witnessed Nathan Fielder's Miracle over the Mojave? Did you get to see that?
Is that where he flew the plane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Which I'm still trying to decide. Like, is this fake?
No,
because
it's real.
we live in the world where it's like he could have faked this.
No, you saw.
I know he found the loophole.
I know he always does. My favorite thing though is when the camera from the second plane is zooming in on the cockpit, and then you see Nathan Fielder's stupid head, and then he turns and looks right into the camera as he's flying.
Well,
The 730.
he's a genius.
Oh, he's really.
And I love that calm deadpan. I love it. But I love the balance too. Whereas like Tim Robinson is funny. Like there was one where these guys are trying to pick on him at work, and he's just some desk job whatever thing.
Yeah.
And he's always weird. Like he's got a weird mustache. He's uncomfortable or something.
Yeah.
But it's like maybe just the depth he takes the absurdity. So one of them's like, hey, Tim. He's like, yeah, what's going on? And he like wants friends and stuff.
Right.
And he's a little oblivious. And these are the jerk asshole guys.
Right.
And they're like, fucked your mom last night. And he's like, what? So you think he's about to get angry, but instead what he does is he goes, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And he picks up the phone and he calls his dad. And he's like, Dad, so-and-so, sir. And he's got like a strict military dad or something. And he's like, Dad, good news, bad news. Okay. Good news is we know where mom is. She's around. He's like, bad news is she's fucking my coworker, Stan the man, or something like that. And he's like, but we found her, Dad. We found her. And he's like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And before he hangs up the phone, he's like, under his breath, he's like, say I love you, say I love you, say I love you.
Yeah.
And he clearly doesn't. And he just kind of moves his head like, and he hangs up the phone.
His friends are just like, that is pretty good.
The absurdity is because it's like, oh my God, that's like
Good news, bad news.
Yeah, good news, bad news.
Good.
We found mom.
It's like the oldest joke in the book, right? To be like, fuck your mom last night, but then to be like, you know where mom is?
Yeah. And it's like just that poor guy. And like, anyway, so many of his characters are just that idiocy.
Yeah.
And he's got one that's a little more tame that you might like called the Detroiters.
Okay.
Where it's him and another guy, Sam something, and they're just running like an ad agency in Detroit, and they're kind of buffoons, and it's funny. But a lot less yelling.
One of my favorite bits from the movie Neighbors was like he's constantly upset because he's trying to convince his family members to hang out with him, like his son or his wife, and nobody wants to hang out. Like no one wants to hang out with this man, which I think is what it means to be a middle-aged white guy.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
No one wants to hang out with you.
Glad you could make it.
And so he's constantly like, I mean, I heard there's a new Marvel. It's supposed to be like pretty good. I really want to see the new Marvel. And people be like, oh yeah, I saw the new Marvel. No spoilers. Yeah.
I saw some comic talking about the Marvels where he's like, oh, you mean those movies where the good guys, everything's going good, and then there's a problem, and then they go, don't worry, we can solve the problem, but actually the bad guys harder than they thought they were going to be, and they didn't solve the problem, and you think they won't, but at the last minute, somehow they figure out how to solve the problem. They're like, yeah, let's go check it out.
I would love to see that again.
It's
been too long.
And over. But yeah, I mean, this is the humor stuff's the same as music, right? It's like I need both those worlds. If it was only the Tim Robinson, I'm going to hate comedy.
Right.
If it's only Nathan Fielder, I mean, and Nathan's been doing that for. Did you ever see Dumb Starbucks that he did?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like classic.
No, I was thinking about it on the way over, where it's like Nathan's finally figured out a way to use his medium in a way where the more people know about it, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
With Nathan For You, it was like, the more people that find out about this show, the less successful the show can be.
Right.
Because, like, I think he did, like, an Ask Me Anything on Reddit or something at some point. And he was like, yeah, towards the end, like, we had to stop doing the show because people would find out who we were while we were, like, doing an episode with someone's business. And it would just, like, ruin all this work. But now he's figured out, like, because the rehearsal is basically Nathan For You. Like, you can see the through line of, like, I'm going to find loopholes. I'm going to find some silly thing, and I'm going to involve real people that I found on the internet that you can't believe exist.
Yeah.
But now, the more people that bear witness to the miracle over the Mojave, the better it is.
The one where he's selling alcohol to minors is still one of the most incredible, like, just that your brain works that way, that we're just going to basically make it like a layaway system. We're going to tag it for you, and we'll see you in 2 years.
Yeah, this is now here.
And just like knowing the people walking by, seeing a sign, selling alcohol to minors, and just all day long confused.
One of my favorite things about Nathan is how, like, he comes off as like a very, awkward, strange, just extremely lonely person. But he actually has like the most tenacious ability to stand his own ground.
Yeah.
And he'll really drive a point home with somebody, and he's not going to be pushed around.
Yeah.
And it's under the surface. It's just.
Do you think we could take guys like him, other comics or skit people, whatever you want, because you have an ability to view everything from these weird angles.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a benefit, right?
Right.
Do you think we could ever successfully run a country if we just filled them up into the administration?
I mean,
would they be able to go?
It couldn't be worse.
We exploited these loopholes and we improved them.
Yeah.
And it's right when someone's getting ready to do a filibuster and a grandiose speech, they're like,
right.
So what we thought was this, and it just shuts them down. And he's just, he's just standing there. He's on C-SPAN.
He has his laptop and he's watching. No, my favorite.
And he just goes, please answer the question.
If you could just say it directly. Into that mic there. If you could say,
we might have some incredible things.
Also, it would finally make politics. I've always wanted to watch politics on HBO. And that would really complete the circle.
Yeah.
Where it's we're trying to do important stuff, but it also ultimately still has to be entertaining.
Mm-hmm. It's weird you say that, because it's the more I understand that the political climate, there's all this discourse and all these social things, right? It's again, part of the thing about, I don't know if I'm just getting older, but you just start caring less. You're just they're doing the same shit they always do, and we're all getting mad at each other. Why are we, and it's to me, it seems like it's simpler. It's very complicated, but it's also very simpler. It's yeah, they're always kind of screwing us, right? Whether it's this one or that one, they're always screwing us. And it's but you and me on an everyday basis, we're pretty cool, right? Yeah, okay, we're good together, right? Yeah, what are we letting them do that for? And, just you see people getting so passionate about whatever issue, and then you get more of this just I fucking know.
Yeah.
I know. I know. And I don't want to burst your bubble, okay, for whatever your cause is right now.
Right.
The sign's not going to do it.
Yeah.
The standing out here with the sign isn't going to do it anymore. And I know you think it does. I know you're passionate, and I respect your passion, and I know you want to make change for the better, but that little thing isn't going to cut it, man. They have so much more money and power. You're going to have to be more clever and creative than that somehow.
Well, I think about people like Noam Chomsky, who when he was a kid, he was getting thrown into police vehicles for going to protests and stuff. But then over time, he's a decorated professor, and he's written multiple books, and he's still educating people on how fucked the system is, and American foreign policy, all these things. And he's never changed his tune. He's always said the exact same things, and he's always said them very calmly, and he's just amazing. He's just a great guy. But I feel when you're young, you want to go hold a sign and yell and scream. And
I think that's the natural progression from whenever I had all that unchanneled angst, and I'm listening to Limp Bizkit.
You were listening to Limp Bizkit. Some people are holding a sign.
Well, after Limp Bizkit, that's when punk rock took it more into we're going to change the world.
Right.
And I had that same kind of hope, but also, disillusion, I guess. And, you realize
power chords don't change.
Yeah. I'm shouting it a lot. I've shouted to so many people this year. And I've shouted with my songs. I've shouted on social media.
Yeah.
And I'm shouting my fucking shoutiest.
I've about had it with your shouting on April Fool's Day, sir.
Oh, yeah. Don't ruin that for people on here. No.
The same fucking thing every year. And I always text you. I was Travis, I'm so excited. Few people deserve the success that you are.
Thanks, man.
That you're showing the world. And it's always a fucking lie.
Well, there's always a new group of people in the music scene and comedy scene, it's always really fun. This year, shout out to Dallas Comedy Club, because the video I did was sarcastic, where I'm talking about how Deep Elm really needs a premier comedy club, and I have this fun turn where the club is right over my shoulders. I'm saying it in the distance, and I was just so proud that because you always feel so dumb. It's you're parking your car on the, in a space down there, and you're walking around with your phone. You look like a jackass. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I was so happy that I nailed that turn in 2 takes, you know, and you're trying not to look at the phone background while you're doing it. You're trying to just nail it.
Yeah.
But to their credit, one of the club's several years prior, whenever I was jokingly saying I'm going to open up this club, and it was next to one of them, I get like a DM from someone who works there and is a little higher up, and they're like, you may want to brand this as like a performance space, not a club, or we're probably gonna have to ban our performers from going there. Oh. And I was like, yeah, so it's April Fool's, and they're like, oh, hilarious, ha ha ha, and it's like, yeah, no, we see your true self there. That's cool, good to know. Whereas Dallas Comedy Club, it's like the owner, one of the bookers, they teach comedy classes, one of the like head instructors. They're all like commenting bullshit on there. It's like the owner's like, would love to do an open mic, hope I can get in there, and I get to be like, have you ever done comedy?
Do you know how to spell?
Yeah, and they all took it as like the people who understand comedy, that they are. And I was like, all right, you're cool. Like, I think I could actually open up a club next door to them, and they would probably find a way to make it work and be like, what if we have these people on these nights, these people on those, we'll drink at your bar, you drink at ours. I'm like, I love it. But
the rule is, wherever you're seeing the show, you can only buy alcohol from the neighbor.
Exactly. Yeah. That would be a good rule. Then we're forced to meet each other and see each other. But I do want to keep upping it every year so that if we ever are fortunate enough to be able to truly open a club, it's like 4 weeks prior to April Fool's of me being like, listen, I know I have abused your trust.
No one's going to fucking show up.
I promise. I super duper promise.
And I want you to remember you did this to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I might have to call the comedy club April Fool's if I ever open one.
I think that'd be good.
But no, I mean, it's fun. And then there's always a few people who just, they are way too serious. They don't think it's funny. Like they hit you up. Honest,
can I get booked in there? I'd love to.
That's the funnest part of the day is the DMs flood in of the new people.
I'd love to be considered to headline.
Hey man, I can produce this show. I can do this. I can do that. And it's not that like I respect anyone's hustle who's trying to do that. But it's those people where the way it's written, it's the assumption of like, good for you that I'm willing to do this job for you. You should be thankful I saw this post.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to run this thing for you.
Right.
And you're just like, yeah, it's April Fool's. And they're like, that's not really cool, man. Like some of us are out here trying to, it's like, okay. Well, anyway. And then of course there's the people like you who've seen this gag now and, like as soon as I post it, I'll just get a text that's just like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And I just love getting those on April 1st. It's just a bunch of asshole. Fuck you.
I think you're one of the only guys I know that actually does something on that day. And I think you should open it up. It should be any day, Why limit yourself?
Some corporations try to get in on it, and they always fall short.
They can't.
The coolest one I ever saw, I fell for it. I totally fell for it. I sent it to friends. I was like, look at this cool shit. And what it was is I think it might have been JHS pedals, for guitar pedals.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago.
Like a Lucky Charms pedal?
So the pedal was this revolutionary pedal where like we all know sound functions as a wave or something. And it's like, I'm not like I'm listening, but I'm also just dumb enough that I'm falling for it. And something about how like we developed this technology where you put a light bulb in the pedal and different light bulbs have different sounds. So you'd put in like a
50 watt.
Yeah, you put in a 50-watt room light, incandescent,
and
they're like, this gives you like a warm, soft tone, whatever. And they're like, and of course in the background they've got real pedals and they're playing these cool riffs.
Why is everything always a warm, soft tone?
Right.
Like we're always just trying to get a warm, soft tone.
And then of course they put in like an outdoor floodlight and things like, and the pedal's ridiculous. Like this huge floodlight is just sticking out the top of it.
It's got the Batman signal.
Yeah, it's like whatever, and I'm sitting there going like, because weird pedals have been made.
Right.
So I'm sitting here going, what a cool... I didn't know what the day was. I sent it to some guitar player friends, and all of them are just like, I think it's an April Fool's joke. And I'm like, shit. I look so stupid.
I've already ordered 10 of them.
But I was just thinking like, well played. Well played. Like, that was a fun one.
I haven't really seen it.
Because they had done it as like a serious music review. Like, hey, we wanted to show you our new pedal today. Link in the thing to go purchase one and blah, 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 blah. And it just was great. It wasn't this over-the-top like, we're going to do an April Fool's today. Ha ha.
Right, which is the best way to do a practical joke.
Yeah.
Again, was like, today we're going to be pranking you.
Yeah, and it's like, and I feel like that's when Doritos tries to do an April Fool's. You're like, okay,
we're now canceling Cool Ranch.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always something like, all right, sure.
You know who did an April Fool's and then meant it was Costco with the combo pizza.
What
it's just
about
gone.
Oh, they pulled it off on April Fool's Day?
No, I don't know. But they pulled it off during the pandemic. It was like those fuckers have been waiting.
Dang.
And they were like, oh no, what a sad time. What unprecedented times we're in. Takes the best pizza off the market.
Whoa.
Never
That's
brings
not
it
like
back.
them either, because they have the prior CEO, I think when he released
I
the
know.
reins, was very adamant about the hot
The
dog.
hot dog better stay the same price. It
I
was like a
believe he
funny-
said something like, I'm going to come fuck you up
Yeah,
or if
yeah.
you change
It
the
was-
price of
I
the hot
liked
dog.
that. I thought that was fun to see.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that with the pizza, which makes me think they're kind of pivoting. The only place where you can still get combo Costco pizza is in Japan.
Well, how much does that deal mean to you, you know?
I know.
You know, a couple of years from now, like, you're going to have a Bomethius tour to Japan, and it's just going to be...
for combo Costco.
You're like, we're playing 7 nights at 7 different clubs
We're
in the
playing,
one city.
We're playing
in the Costco.
Costco. I want to play a Costco show. Kirkland brand Bomethius. Amazing.
Listen, you say this like it's a terrible idea.
I don't say it like it's a terrible
But have you
idea.
seen the All American Rejects doing their backyard shows
I
right now?
have seen it. It's nice.
Listen, that's my era. That's what
Yeah.
concerts were like.
Okay. Nice.
And I know, listen, before all these like punk rock and hardcore people now, like I said something like that online about how like, oh hell yeah, like younger generations, like take a look at this, you can do this. This is the way music was. It was awesome. And people were like, hey bro, old man, like, do you know, like we still do these shows? And it's like, I know you still put on your house show for your 10 fucking friends that you had to like beg to come to that show.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay. I'm talking about like a famous band
doing a house
with
show.
600 people at a
Right.
random spot
Yeah.
having a good time for a $5 ticket price.
No, that's
all right.
like really good.
You know, it's like maybe you need to do the Costco shows. I
like it.
think you could reach out to Costco is one of those companies where it could go either way. You could find an interesting person in the marketing department who might be about it.
That's true.
And then you just craft a great like 15 song set list that just keeps the vibe, you know, moving in a certain direction. And you just get up, play, no conversation afterwards, off the stage.
Yeah.
And just go. And that could work for you. What section would you play in?
The food court.
You got to do a food court?
You got to do the food. I mean, and we just have Costco pizzas there. Mm-hmm. You know, you're good to go.
Plenty of parking?
Plenty
It's
of
an
parking, but you'll never get a spot.
It's an exclusive club that requires membership. So
Yeah.
there's already prestige of like, could you get there? I tried.
It's got to be an executive level membership.
Yeah.
To get in there. Yeah. The Bomethius level is just above.
One of my friends did a Costco themed like birthday party for someone, and they gave out Kirkland hats to us, you know, while we were there. And I still throw on the Kirkland hat when I'm doing like some yard work and stuff.
Hat.
It's a good hat. I would like the Kirkland brand Bomethius.
Yeah, I'll work on that. I'll talk to him. 'Cause I have a label now, so I'll just tell him to set this up.
Get those people to contact their people.
Yeah, and then we're good to go.
What do you think is like the weirdest venue you'd want to play in, though? What would be a fun?
I am actually legitimately trying to change, in like a more intentional way, the places that I play. So I've been playing shows with like So Far Sounds for a long time.
Right.
And I think that relationship will continue. But in terms of like shows where I'm booking the venue and doing this stuff, I think I'd like to pivot away from like this whole cycle of like the point of my music is to sell alcohol at someone's bar. And I don't think I want to do that anymore. So like doing more non-traditional spaces, whether that's like someone's house or backyard or like churches.
Yeah.
So there's like a church in Ravenswood in Chicago. It's like the oldest wood frame building in Chicago. It was built right after the Chicago fire, but they got special permission to use wood. It's like really, it's really pretty. But they have their altar in the round. So everybody's like sat around, and we were like talking about it. They're like going to move the altar out of the way and like put the full band in the center.
That'd be pretty cool.
And so it'd be like we're just kind of like rehearsing, you know, on stage.
I was talking to some comics about
doing comedy in the round.
Well, big famous people do it in arenas.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, you know, a medium-sized comedy club, nothing huge.
Yeah.
With a small round stage, I think that would be incredibly fun.
Yes.
And I think it would just be and you know, you could do it where it's like, if it's an act where the ticket sales are going to be low, great. We curtain off half of it. It's now a semicircle and we're just using half the room, right?
Right.
But, you know, a sold-out 200-person room in the round, I think something about looking across there and seeing these other people laughing and having a good time.
Yeah,
like
there's something cool about like also just seeing the other
like
people.
watch
that
your
like
back a
this.
little bit, like what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, like I think there's an element that makes it a little more fun. It'd probably make things harder, but I think it'd make it more interesting. And but I think music that way is pretty interesting too, because you do have to think about like, I don't want this audience member just staring at the back of me the whole time. So
Yeah,
it's like
a
you got
little bit.
maybe set up a microphone on this side and that side where you can get around a little.
Well, that's the other thing. I want to play in spaces where no
no mics.
amplification. I just want
I love that.
the space.
Well, and it sounds like you have the players now who can accommodate that, who know dynamics enough to do it.
Actually,
well, you did that already with that with the duet guitar thing you did. That was really fun.
So like doing more stuff in that vein
Mm-hmm.
where it really is. This is just about the music.
It's crazy how much I have no desire to ever go to church at all.
Yeah.
But how much those rooms are just incredible for those types of
they're made for
performances.
this, right.
Yeah, they just and there's just, like rooms should have a feel when you get in there. And even if you're not religious, it's like when you walk into like a chapel or something.
Yeah,
there's
something
like
awesome. There can be something awesome about it.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're like talking quieter. You're like, so I'm very excited about this. Like,
Welcome back to NPR's broadcast.
sitting down on a squeaky pew.
Yeah.
It's like there's just a vibe to it all that's really interesting. So
You can just feel the shame in the room.
well, that's where the asshole in me starts to come out. It's like if somebody invites me to their Catholic church, it's like, so where does the pedophilia happen?
Yeah.
Like,
Is this where we touch the kids now?
yeah. But from a performance side of things, it's like they are great rooms.
No, yeah, they're really great.
Because every now and then I'll see we're in Texas. How many churches do you want to see? They're everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But every now and then you see an old one where you're thinking, man, we could turn that into like an amazing venue. It's like all the side rooms would be great for like green rooms and things like that.
A couple there was like I think do they call it the cathedral? I can't remember what they call it, but it was like a big church building, and it's been like sold and turned into a venue with like multiple floors. I think they call it the catacombs. That's what they call it.
Okay, that's
so
cool.
they've got this cool like sub-level venue that's like separate from the stages upstairs.
Nice.
And like, so if you're playing the catacombs, like you're underground. And
Ooh, that
it's
would be
like this
cool.
cool like stonework, and
it's
it's really neat.
I just picture like religious people like protesting your changing of this sacred thing.
It like became like a cool part of like
That's
the community or whatever.
I
Like
guess they'd rather
everyone's
have the
into it.
building there in some form.
Right, because it's a great building. They're always cool buildings. You got to do something with them.
One of the comic friends I have, John Stringer, they bought a church in Kansas just to live in.
Oh, nice.
Just to live in. They just turned it into their house.
Like a country church kind of thing.
I've never seen it in person. It's a smaller space, but
I think that's becoming more common.
well, in these states where religion is dominant and there's every community has multiple churches.
Right.
It's like some of them are just old, and when they build their new space, what are you going to do with it's kind of single purpose built.
Right.
But yeah, there was a famous actress that did that here in downtown Dallas. I can't remember her name, but I'm going to look it up. But the building's still there, and I don't know what happened to it. But she lived in it, and there were all these great pictures where it's still there's just a bed in the middle of the giant, ceiling space and everything, and it was pretty wild. But
Nice.
actually, everyone wait. It's a church in Dallas.
We're on the phone again.
Yeah, we're on the phone. For those of you who love it.
You guys hear the tapping?
Ronnie Claire Edwards, is that her name? Yeah, it's St. Joseph's Catholic Church in Dallas.
Okay.
But you can see a little bit there. That was just her house.
Whoa.
It's kind of incredible, right?
That is incredible.
Very what an eccentric.
I feel like it'd be a little creepy.
It would be super creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be beyond creepy. But also
I don't think I could do it.
what a great could you imagine watching, Nathan Is For You on that couch?
I like this new title better because it's just Nathan For You, but
Yeah.
I think Nathan Is For You.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nathan For You. I always mess up stuff like that.
Throw that is in there.
Nathan For You. Nathan Is For You.
I think that's
We're demanding.
so. When he gets appointed to the cabinet of the next president, his slogan will be Nathan Is For You.
Yeah. Well, I think if he becomes president, we get rid of his last name. It's just President Nathan.
Yeah.
And then,
You don't like President Fielder? I think it's kind of fun.
I think we need to establish that from now on, he's the Nathan.
He is the Nathan.
The Nathan.
The Nathan.
The one.
He's
Yeah.
really Nathan.
But anyway, no, I feel like we've reached our natural conclusion here, man. So
Yeah.
you're going to a wedding later this evening? Do y'all get to hang out at all, or are you just rushing around?
Yeah, I mean, we'll hang out a little bit,
Yeah.
but I mean, for the most part, it's a really quick trip.
Well, dude, I appreciate you squeezing me in the schedule down here.
Yeah, man.
Anything? This will come out probably in the next couple days. Anything you want to plug on here?
Go watch the Thunderbird music video
Mm-hmm.
because it's really fun.
Yeah.
Lainey Nolling directs it. She
Okay.
works on The Bear,
Wow.
the Hulu
Wow.
show.
I mean, it looked great.
No, she's like
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on the 8th record, hoping to have it pressed on vinyl soon.
Are you still selling vinyls of the
We are.
previous one?
And broke even with the record label.
Hey,
So
good work, man. That's
now-
challenging.
I know it was
So now it's time to
crazy.
make some profit, huh?
Right.
All
Well,
right.
and right when we broke even, I stopped playing shows. I was like, oh yay! And then all right.
Did you print up a bunch of physical copies that you have and you have to ship out, or is the label doing it for you?
I mean, we do both. Like,
Gotcha.
back and forth.
Yeah. People don't know it's tough. Vinyl is tough. So
It's
please
hard.
go purchase a
It is
vinyl.
hard.
It really helps. But other than that, dude, thanks so much for coming.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, man.
What a great! I'm so glad we could do this. That's really fun to do.
Shut up.
The I'm a Fan of podcast, music, comedy, and more.